everyone. How are you? So I was gonna do a video about dating and stuff, but then I was like, but I have other stories that I can talk about. Like the fact that even though I live in a small city, I mean it's a city. It's the main city. And I was thinking, okay, when I go out with my friend and or experience going out, guess what we got in my city now? I don't have to depend on those regularly run taxis while I'm here. I can get an Uber. Uber. Okay. I can get Uber. Okay. I don't gotta depend on the regular taxi companies that are here. That takes me forever. Can't go home when I'm I've had a few and they don't want to pick you up because they say that they don't need your money. But I'm like, oh, but if I call and you don't know who you're picking up, you come and pick me up anyway and you want a tip. But when I'm going out with my girl and we aren't even drunk, because I just don't get down like that, you don't want to pick us up because according to you, you don't need our money. Okay. Okay, well, guess what? I don't need your service now because now I got Uber. No longer will a girl, well, when this whole thing is over and it's winter time, your girl don't have to depend, and yes, I'm gonna say depend, on to be picked up by you guys having to walk in heels after I've had a whole night dancing, to go on the main road to find a taxi, competing with people to get a taxi to take me home. No, you, no, mm-mm. Not anymore that I've got Uber. So anyway, on to the story, right? So my friend and we've been in this city for I guess this summer's gonna be like 8 years. So it's a different experience from when I was back home. Granted, I left home at the height of my young adulthood. I need to go back home at least for a little bit, like a week or so, to at least decompress, appreciate my island. Yes, I'm an island girl. I like the beach. I like the water. We are friends. I am one with the water, okay? When people say, I don't like the beach, I'm scared. I'm like, I love the beach. I'm not scared. Granted, I'll only go so far, but anyway, enough on that. So I was talking about the taxi service, right? So my friend and I, we, over the years, we've taken notice, and I never understood. I'm telling you, I never understood. So we would go out, and because none of us drive, we'd go out, have a good night, we'd go to the clubs. We'll go to the clubs. And the clubs here, they're not as international, I should say, as, like, say, a Toronto or a Montreal, because it's a smaller city. It's a university town. So most of the persons that are here, they come from overseas, but they don't really impact as much on the club scene here as, say, if you're living in Montreal and if you're living in Toronto, right? Or say Edmonton or just those other places. So here it's smaller, it's more intimate. Like if you've seen one person once, you've seen them at least 50 million times if they're still in the city, and if they still keep the same schedule as you do. I've seen people here, like I see them, I always joke and tell my friends, like, I don't know that person, but I feel like I know them because I've seen them so often. Anyway, so we went out and we'd go out and we'd have drinks, and at the end of the night we'll try to go home. So initially, like in the first couple of years before it was less, I'm trying to find a nice way of saying it. Before it had more of an international community, it used to be easier for us to go home, right? We'd go out, we'd have our fun, and then we'll take a taxi. Because where we are, it's like you don't even have to call. The taxis are there. So you can just hail a taxi, and then you can take it, and then you'll go home. Right? Cool. Okay. Let's rewind. Fast forward to the future. We are going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship. We are going to the future. If only I knew in the future it would be different. So anyway, so now that we're older, a little bit more responsible, having a good time like you always do, going out instead of going to the clubs, now we go to the bars, and they have little music and little spots, and we dance and have a good time. Check out the bartenders if they're cute. I've seen a couple cute ones. Laugh at other people while they're dancing, because I'm like, what are you doing? But they're having a good time, so you're having a good time too. So now we're in the future and we're having a good time going out, dancing and whatever. And of course, we have more international persons and also more international persons working taxis. Cool, right? You think that'd be nice, because then, okay, they're international, we're international, they understand. Understand. No, they don't. I wish, but they don't. So anyway, my friend and I, we're going out, we're having a good time, but now we realize it's harder to get a taxi to go home. I'm like, harder to get a taxi to go home? But there's so many people. I couldn't understand it. It would take me an hour to get a taxi to take me home. One time, I almost didn't get a taxi to take me. Actually, there was one time where I actually didn't get a taxi to take me home. Thank God that I am blessed and highly favored, because things can happen to a girl. Like if it was a bigger city and things like that happen, things can happen to a girl. Even if it's a small city, things can happen to a girl. We tried to get a taxi a couple times. You can't get one. You see them, it's like they pick, choose, and refuse who they want to drive home. I've seen people actually going a taxi and they kick them out and say they gotta come out. When you try, saying that the person's too drunk, so they're not taking them home. Excuse me, is this not a service? Do you not get paid to take these people home? So you're telling me you're too good to do your job? Okay, that's why I'm glad Uber is here. Uber is my friend, okay? It is my friend. I don't know where the accent came from, but it is my friend. I'ma charge you that. My dupes, my yardie, my friend, my friendie. When I say that I'm happy that Uber is here, I kid you not. I talked to a taxi driver, one of my peoples. Thank you, sir. You got me home safe. And yes, you got a good tip, because you just got a good tip, because I appreciated it. I'm not gonna lie, I appreciated that. And he was real. So he gave me the lowdown. So he said some of the taxi drivers, they don't want to pick up people because, hear this. This is where the it's slightly, I don't want to say that they were being racist, but prejudiced in a sense, because they didn't want to take us up because we were black. Yes. They didn't want to take us up because we were black girls. So I was like, huh? What? What in the madness are you talking about? He said, yeah, like they he's talked to some of them, well, a lot of them, because it's a taxi company, so you talk to people. So he was saying when they get called, they have no choice but to pick you up. But when it's nighttime and they're on the, basically, I was gonna say prowl, but when they have the free choice of picking up whoever they want, because if you call, you can, if they find out that you're downtown, you cannot, I repeat, not get a taxi to come and pick you up. They'll just tell you, oh, just find a taxi that's out there and hail them, and they'll pick you up and take you home, because I can't get any taxi for you right now. First problem. Second problem is, because they see your skin, they don't want to take you home because they claim that they don't need your money. Yes, they don't need our money. I was like, oh. So my friend and I at the time were like, well, guess who ain't gonna get any tips anymore? So we're only good enough for you when it's daytime, but at nighttime you can't pick us up. And he said he has the same problem too. He was like, when I go out, and these are people that know me, and I want to get home, they refuse to pick me up too. And I was like, you're joking? He was like, no, I'm serious. They refuse to pick me up. I was like, Uber. I am glad Uber is here now, because they were fighting and fighting so that Uber would not come to this city, because they're saying that it will take away money from them. Well, guess what? Guess whose money you're not getting anymore? Most times when I'm taking a taxi now that Uber is here, I don't even bother calling the taxi companies. I'm like, you're not getting my money now, because before you said you don't need my money because my money means nothing to you, right? So now Uber's here. I'm doing what you always wanted, baby. I'm doing what you wanted, boo-boo. I am no longer using your service. So this little story time is just to say, you know what? If you treat people like crap and they get another option and another choice, they're gonna take it. Okay? If you had humbled your little self because you're doing a service and just driving me home during the cold winter months, trust me, like when I get, normally I'm not like a big tipper, but during the winter months where it was harder to get people to take us home, one time a nice couple drove my friend and I home, and my friend texted me. Well, she got dropped home first, and then when I got dropped home, I texted her to let her know I was home and safe, because we're like, they were nice, but the girlfriend was kind of cuckoo. The man was fine, but the girlfriend was cuckoo. But she was the one that convinced him to take us home. So I was like, it was nice, but at the same time, that's a scary experience. And the fact that I am paying for a service, I shouldn't have to feel lesser for a service that everyone else is paying for. I've even had one, okay, he was not my people, but he was a nice guy. And he said that even when he was younger, and that's why he became a taxi driver, because when he was younger and unless he knew someone to come and pick him up, if he wanted to take the taxi, he couldn't take the taxi because of the area that he lived in. It was considered dangerous, so they wouldn't want to drive that area because in their mind, they could essentially get robbed, their vehicle destroyed, all kind of stuff. So they just didn't want to go in that certain area. So for him, he was like, whenever he went out when he was younger, it was in a group, so there was always a designated driver, right? So one of them would always be like, okay, I'm not drinking because I'm taking everyone else home. So that, and I'm like, well, that shouldn't happen, because the point is you're supposed to if it was that situation, I can understand. But my situation is that because of my skin tone, you don't want to take me home because my money wasn't good enough. Well, guess what? My money will continue not being good enough. If anything, thank God my money isn't good enough for you anymore, because I will no longer be using those companies unless I have to. So in the nighttime, when they will be prowling after this thing is over and a girl wants to get home, guess what a girl is gonna do? A girl is gonna get on her little phone and do what I did when I was in Toronto and booked an Uber taxi. Yes, girl, that's what I'm gonna do. Just like I did when I was on my birthday, yes, in November. It wasn't cold. It was nice that year. It was nice last year. I just went on my little phone, put in where I was, put in our destination, and got an Uber taxi and went home. Yes, I did. So I no longer will be using those taxi companies because my money wasn't good enough for you when I was in desperate measure. My money ain't going to be good enough for you now that I'm a little bit older and a whole lot wiser. So yes, guys, that was my story of why I'm glad Uber is in my city and why, in a sense, racism, prejudice, it ain't dead, y'all. It ain't dead. And the people that you think you will be getting that from are not the actual people that you get it from anymore. I'm getting it from people that are international. Oh, God. The same people that should understand this, because they're the same one that have issues, are the ones that are being difficult towards you. Imagine that. So yeah, see you guys on the next one. Bye.